There's different ways to set a gripper, but a lot of times people differ in their hand sizes, and not just the hand size, the shape, you know. And usually the shape is determined by the amount of musculature in the person's hand. So if they have, you know, some guys have a really long hand and they don't have a lot of muscle in it, and you know, they're better suited for stuff like you know, rolling thunders, axle bars, stuff like that. And in general, I would say that that's probably the better choice. If you have a specific enough hand to go towards grippers, you should probably do grippers. If you have a specific enough hand to go to pinch, you should probably do pinch. And you'll see a lot of that. It's a pattern that emerges, especially with a lot of guys. You'll find they mostly do one aspect of grip because of the way that their hands are shaped. Now, you might ask why. Probably the biggest reason is if your hands are not specifically designed for these implements and they are for another, well, you're probably gonna have more fun lifting the one that you feel comfortable with, you know? Now, speaking of the sets, there are a few ways to set the gripper. Now, I can show you guys the most normal way to set, and that is you take the gripper and you put it right about here, and it splits your ring and pinky finger, and you push your thumb forward. You make a little pocket and you keep it in that spot, and then you take your index finger on your offhand and you make a little ridge here, and you push against the edge of the handle, and then you bring it close to your body, or if you're strong enough, you can just do it in front of you. But the weaker you are, upper body wise, the harder the gripper gets, the better it is to keep it in front of you. Some people even put it in between their legs to brace with their thighs so that they can help aid in setting that gripper. So once you get that pocket set and you have your thumb pushed as far forward as possible, you can see the thumb pad is stopping the gripper from sliding back, and you know, it's a good pocket position. When you put it, you're gonna set it, and you can walk it down if you want. You get it to the desired width, and you simply close it. Now, those of you know, I don't do this. Now you might ask why. Well, if I take a little credit card here. So this is the ironmind credit card. And if we use this, which is what we have to use for certification. Now, we can do the same process, right? We can put the handle to split the pinky and the ring finger, these two fingers, push the thumb forward, create that pocket, see? And once you have the card, you can set it the same way you did before. And now suddenly, you'll notice I have to open up a big amount for the card to fit through. You see? And this is not very comfortable, because as you can see, the edge of my fingers are kind of clinging on to this handle, and the pinky is in contact, but it is not aiding because it is almost completely straight. Even if I have it bent slightly, it doesn't mean anything. Now, what I tried to do this it's very hard to close like this. And that's why the credit card set is very difficult for most people. But if you want to do Mass Monster set or a GHP set or a deep set, your best option is actually to set in this manner. Create that pocket, use the index ridge, set it down and close it. Because as you can see from the design of the hand, it's meant to close this way. So if I can't do that for the credit card set, but I can do it for a Mass Monster set, which is basically right about here. It's about a Mass Monster set. It's usually about 30 millimeters between the handles, and deep set is about 20 millimeters for like a parallel set. But you guys have probably noticed by now, I don't set like that. And the reason I don't set like that is because I don't have enough coverage that makes it comfortable for me to close the gripper. Now I can do it to a number 1 or 2, but once you get up to the 3, the 3.5, and the 4, it really starts to get uncomfortable because the gripper gets harder to close like this. So my back handle, instead of being positioned, let me shut this down real quick. Instead of being positioned here, I usually position it slightly slanted. If you notice, the gripper sits a little bit diagonally across the palm. And my thumb pad is still helping by holding it forward. But if you notice, when the back handle is moved forward, so does the front handle. So the way to solve this is to simply put the back handle more back in your palm, and suddenly, you know, I'm at a TNS width, I have all my fingers on, you know? So what I prefer to do is to keep it, you know, right in between. I don't want it to be so far back. Now I don't really have a lot of leverage, and my fingers are overlapping already. You never want your fingers to be like this, because when you start closing, your fingers are already done closing by the time before the gripper is even shut. You don't want that. So when I set the gripper, I put it just about here, and I have it diagonal. And I can either pinch it, or I can use my index as well, and I can set it. And this is usually my preferred width. And that's why you guys see me doing this set a lot, is because I can close it a lot wider this way. Now there is a little bit of mechanical leverage lost from doing this set, but the mechanical leverage is actually also gained. So you gain some leverage in the beginning by being able to start much wider because your fingers are already on the gripper. But there's a caveat where if you bring it closer and closer, you'll notice that the closer it gets to closing, the more overwrapped your fingers get, and you run the risk of missing that gripper, which can be a pain in the ass. But it's the only way for me and a lot of you guys to be able to do a credit card set. So, the credit card set usually looks something like this. Set it farther up, set it just like that. And if you notice, when I did it before with the handle much further up, you probably noticed that I couldn't fit the card through, and my pinky was locked, and I had no shot of closing the gripper. So, you know, naturally, when I first started doing grippers, the most natural set for me was just this, because it was so, you know, it fits into my hand, and it really just feels like it belongs there, you know. And I could probably close higher rated grippers if I used the more traditional set of creating that pocket and putting the handle further up. However, it is harder for me to set a number 4 all the way down here than it is for me to set a number 4 simply here. So my hand is stronger than my body to be able to set that thing all the way down. Now, if I did try to set it all the way down and I still got it, I probably would be so fatigued trying to do that, I wouldn't have much left for the closing. So keep that in mind, guys. If you ever thought about training credit card set or a Mass Monster set or a deep set, there's all these different kind of sets, but in reality, you're forced to do one or the other depending on what you're trying to certify for, how you want to train. So if you want to do a lot of credit card set training and a lot of wide set training, you'll have to put the handle back slightly, and you'll have to compromise some the end range closing strength in order to increase your sweep strength. And that's really it. That's why so many guys have tried and failed on the number 4 credit card set, in a number 3.5 credit card set, number 3 credit card set. It's because they're so used to having the gripper sit here that when they try to set it for the credit card set and they have to close it like this, usually does not end well. But there's a way to still do it. So if you do, let's say we're talking about RGC here, if you can do 180 RGC, you should be able to do, I think, 150 credit card set. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. That's basically how it goes. Now, I'm trying to think of what else. I really think that's it regarding the set and how you should train with these.